Hey, what up? The first Descendant devs just put out another patch, and if you've been struggling with the Purge, then you're going to want to tune in for this one. Let's find out why.
Wait, did we just become best friends? So nice to meet you. I think you're cool.
Let's talk about Hotfix 127 and the much needed Void Erosion Purge adjustments. The community provided feedback pretty fast on the latest content drop that extended the Purge by 10 more stages. We're now pushing the Purge to stage 30, and the feedback, well, it wasn't exactly hot. However, as usual, the devs are listening, and during their recent live stream, they did acknowledge that the difficulty scaling in the Void Erosion Purge was overtuned. And to keep it real, it's kind of a mess. But this update is their first step towards fixing that. So what changed? Well, first off, you can now do public operations in stage 26 and 27, which means you're not stuck soloing some of the worst difficulty spikes. So most players that are at this end game level have been able to do 21 through 24 solo with ease, basically using just Inez. So opening up more matchmaking for the later stages is probably a good idea. Elite Wardens went from throwing 8 ranged attacks at you to 3. So dodging is now actually possible. The constant chill status effect from normal and elite trackers, well, that's gone altogether. So no more getting slowed to death just for existing in their vicinity. One of the biggest annoyances, the insane tracking beams from Farseer trackers and abominations. Well, they got a major nerf. They no longer whip around like they're aimbotting you. And the commander, Grunka's beam, now slows down when it starts tracking you. So you can actually have a chance to react. And the homing abilities of Annihilators and Living Artillery, completely removed. So less surprise you're dead moments. Now, they didn't say anything about this, and I don't know if it's a bug, but you may have noticed that a lot of the monsters can shoot their whatever poison or electricity through hard surfaces, like through boxes. Now, I don't know if that was a bug, but it appears to have been fixed. Let me know if you're experiencing different. And you're gonna like this. So loot drop rates got doubled for all ammo types, which should make running out of resources mid-fight a little less painful. I did have an opportunity to test this, and these weren't with full teams, but it was without an Enzo, and we were able to get to the end without too many headaches. However, it's pretty close. There were times where I actually ran out of ammo, but it wasn't for very long. So it's possible to complete this without an Enzo, which means we might be able to complete these a lot faster now because we can have a full DPS squad, all Haleys or Glaze, instead of needing an Enzo. He is strong and he does buff the team, but just saying. Also, and this is another big one, clear rewards are now guaranteed at the end of the mission. So we're talking cores, even if you get hit with a penalty. So no more leaving empty-handed after slogging through waves of bullet sponge enemies. Enemy spawns in stages 21 through 30 have been reworked. A lot. There's a lot here. So to sum it up, I'm also throwing this on the screen, but to sum it up, there's going to be fewer suicide bombers in certain stages, which means less frustrating insta-kill situations. So sometimes they spawn right next to you and they explode before you even see them, and then you go down. So hopefully that will be resolved. Stage 29 swaps out Demigor for Plaudia as the commander, and various factions have had their group spawn chances reduced, meaning fewer overwhelming mob rushes. Solo mode got easier, weapon attack buff across the board. So hopefully that means we can do these just a little bit faster. So they should feel a little less bullet spongy, and commander monsters and multiplayer modes got nerfed, making the overall experience less of a chore. It's an interesting place where the community sits on who's loving it and who's not. What do I think? Well, I like it. I think that it needs a little bit of a scenery change. I mean, just another gray box to fight in is a little bit boring. I feel like that's all we get are these desolate environments. I get we're somewhere in the void or whatever, but I don't know. Aesthetics go a long ways for me in games. As far as difficulty, well, that's a whole other beast. It's not just that it's harder in the Purge, it's that it feels flat when enemies just soak up entire magazines and keep coming and coming and coming. When enemies scaling goes overboard like that, it kills build diversity. We're seeing that here, not only because they're bullet spongy, but also because they actually nerf the Descendant skills as you climb up the stages. With a game like this, I don't think you want bullet sponges being one of the biggest gripes of the game, when the only challenge is dumping an entire mag into an enemy and watch it shrug off the damage. It stops being fun and becomes plain boring. And I understand that this is a new game and the first Descendant hasn't quite nailed that balance, but when every enemy is scaled to absurd health values, you end up stacking raw damage instead of using real tactics, and that is exactly how you're seeing teams take down each of these stages. So far, the meta has been throw a vacuum grenade, suck them all in, and corral the enemies, and everybody just stands there and puts mag after mag into the group. I gotta say, that's not dynamic or even tactical gameplay. I wouldn't even call this hard, because once you figure out the meta, it's just stupid easy. The hardest thing about it is getting the right team configuration in a matchmaking situation. I don't want to beat a dead horse here because the devs realize the problem, but I do want to hone in on a statement, and I will be paraphrasing here, but they did say during their live stream that it's content specifically designed to boost weapons and give a place for those weapons to perform. And that's why there's a heavy emphasis on weapon gameplay, which does narrow in on the Descendants that can actually use it. However, that does make the content less exciting and less useful, less well-rounded, less liked by the community, which for me is the biggest bummer. But in the long run, it will have a utility to hopefully apply those buffs to other more exciting content. The downside is the timing of it all. I think we'd be better off having more well-rounded content right now that shines, that everybody loves, and that's also difficult than just this very linear gameplay system. This is a gauntlet to grind up your weapons and get some action in while you're doing it. That's basically what we're looking at. Okay, let's talk about the other changes that came with this patch. Outside of the Void Erosion Purge, Inez and Keelan got tweaks to how their skill range modules affect damage. Now, I don't believe this is actually a buff, but just a correction to the stats displayed when the mods are applied with range. Weapon-wise, we got 3 ultimate weapons that see improvements. I'll walk through all the details, but just to give you a gist, the last dagger now hits harder and stacks crit rate. Restored relics guided rounds now spawn more cluster rounds that auto target enemies, and Sigvor's proof got a buff that scales damage with the number of sticky bombs deployed. So let's take a closer look. Starting with the last dagger, default firearm attack has been increased by about 29%, not bad. And then hitting an enemy grants the unique abilities Patience and Lethal Dagger. Lethal Dagger increases critical hit rate per stack. Reloading when Patience is at max stacks resets Patience and grants the Strike effect. While Strike is in effect, shooting fires enhanced rounds. When Strike is removed, the Steps effect is granted that temporarily increases your movement speed. Ooh, nice. Restored Relic. When a guided round explodes, it creates multiple cluster rounds depending on its enhancement level. Cluster rounds track to nearby enemies. So I did test this, and it seems they did make some changes to the visuals. That initial shot is still blinding and chaotic, so beware of that, but the clusters aren't doing additional blinding gigantic explosions. The animation on that is pretty cool. They also changed the aiming reticule, or that bubble there. For me, that wasn't there before. It was there a while ago, and then it went away, and now it's back, I guess. Anyways, Sigvard's proof, damage dealt by sticky bombs increases proportionally to the number of sticky bombs installed. So they also buffed rare weapons. It doesn't appear to be all of them, but it's a lot of them. So the UI got a few changes. Shop menus now display item acquisition info. Keybinds have been adjusted for better usability, and research acceleration now requires direct interaction. A bunch of new cosmetics and skins dropped. For those of you that like fighting in bathing suits, well, today's the day. As for events, so there's 2 events that are live right now, and there's one more coming before the end of this season segment. We have a daily report, so just for logging in, you're going to get these. This is pretty fantastic. It's 14 days of rewards, and wow. The Void Abyss Metal Fragment, you're not going to want to miss that one. And then there's this one, the Core Particle Disruptor. It's going to give you 100 of those. That's not bad, man. Look at that. You get a free core. That's worth 2,000 of these bad boys. I have a feeling they're going to start giving these away. Some gold. This looks like some ETA vouchers. Oh, another 100. I didn't notice these earlier. So you're getting 200 disruptors. Wow. 150,000 Kuipers, a box of advanced stabilizers. I guess it's one of each. You get an energy activator and more gold. Oh, this is another shape stabilizer. That's normal shapes. These are advanced. Okay. There was another one. I thought I saw a weapon. Oh, this one here. No? Oh, must be the other one, the other reward. Let's look at the other one here. Here's Kate's experiment. So these are the daily rewards. You have these daily ones here that, as you can see, I've already completed. You got the precise ion accelerator. So this is going to be a daily. Clear intercept battles. So just for doing 2, you're going to get these bad boys, dimension analyzers, a little bit of Kuiper, and then you're gonna get gold just for doing some void vessel missions. That's actually 1 million in gold just for doing 1 void vessel mission, so not bad. And the Kuiper is for doing, I think it's 3 missions. By completing like 30 of the daily operations, so these are daily operations, so it looks like you're gonna get 4 a day. So once you complete 30 altogether, then you're gonna get this spawn. It's called Flutter. Okay, and then when you do 15 of these, you're gonna be able to pick an ultimate weapon from this selection box, and you're gonna get 2 of these. So you'll be able to pick 2 fully crafted ultimate weapons. And right now it's looking like you're gonna need a few versions of the meta weapons, like the smithereens, for example. So this could come in handy. All right, now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the director's comment. So Minsuk Ju does admit that they still haven't fixed the weapon meta problem. High-end Void Erosion Purge still forces certain weapon loadouts, and they don't have an immediate fix for that. The main issue is balancing around top-tier Descendants versus making the content playable for everyone. They're afraid that if they nerf the content, it's gonna be too easy for certain Descendants. But they also don't want casual players locked out of this content. So their solution: first, rework Descendant balance, then fine-tune Erosion Purge difficulty. In other words, they want those less used or underperforming Descendants to be lifted. The bad news: it's gonna take time because season 2 episode 2 is in development. So don't expect major fixes overnight. And that patch is supposed to come here in early to mid-March. But hey, at least they acknowledge the problem. But let's be honest, this cycle of release, break, patch, repeat is getting old, and they do know that. So they are changing the way things are going to be released in the future. That's a big topic and requires a whole new roadmap rework, which I am working on, so stay tuned for that. I'm gonna put that video out ASAP. For now, the changes in Hotfix 1.27 are a step in the right direction, I gotta admit. That's good. The question is, will they keep this momentum or let things spiral into another balancing nightmare? My feelings are, with season 3, it's gonna be a major correction on how they're doing things. We'll see. Catch you on the next one. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm Tuxedo Bandido, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the good stuff I have coming for you. And if you like content like this, be sure to check out the video I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you would like me to cover, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make things possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be the same without you.
When you buy or download anything for the first Descendant, be sure to use Tux's creator code to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Wait, did we just become best friends?